If you've ever been asked to build a pipeline and weren't really sure what you were being asked to do, or maybe you were asked, what's the best architecture for a lake house? And got stumped. You're not alone. Everybody has been there, and today I am going to explain some of these situations. Today in Data Words, we are talking about how your data actually moves, changes, and becomes useful. I'm going to break down three of the most misunderstood connected concepts in modern data engineering. And we're going to do it using something that everyone can understand, a good old fashioned factory production line. So, buckle up as we dive in to this week's Data Words. All right, we're going to start with data pipelines. A pipeline is the automated process that data runs through and in a sequence of steps. You're extracting, cleaning, doing some transformations, and then you are delivering it all to where it is going to live. Think of it like a conveyor belt in a factory. Raw materials come in at one end, and the pipeline moves them through each stage of the process. You drill here, you paint over there, and you sand here until you finally got a fully finished product coming out the other end of your conveyor belt. So, in the data world, your conveyor system might be built with tools such as these. You have Azure Data Factory, which is a drag and drop kind of low code, no code, perfect for Microsoft shops. You have AWS Glue, which, again, as the name indicates, is part of the AWS ecosystem, and it is extremely serverless and scalable. You have Informatica, which has been around for decades and is a legacy enterprise favorite, and has recently migrated to a cloud version as well called IICS. You have Apache Airflow that does a good job of orchestrating all these different processes and flows, and it is open source, and again it orchestrates for really good solid control of your data pipelines. These tools really do an awesome job of handling your workflows, scheduling retries, and branching logic along with providing some monitoring as well. Now, here's an observability tip. A good pipeline doesn't just run, it self heals. It retries failed jobs, notifies the team when something does go awry. Once it's built, it runs automatically though. No more 6 a.m. Slack pings, no missed refreshes, just clean, dependable, repeatable data movement. All right, now that you've seen how the data flows through the system, let's zoom in on how to decide what happens. This is where ELT comes in, and it is often really misunderstood. So, ELT stands for extract, load, and transform. And it's the cousin of ETL, which is something that we discussed in our previous data word sessions. ELT is the modern standard for cloud first data systems. Instead of transforming data before you load it, like ETL, you are loading the data and then doing your transformations within your cloud data lake, data warehouse, whatever the case may be. So you're doing your extraction. So you're pulling the raw data from the source. You're doing your load. You're loading it into a system like maybe you're loading it into an S3 bucket. Maybe you're loading it directly into Snowflake, but you're loading it somewhere where that data lands. And then finally, you're doing your transformations. So you're cleaning, you're joining, you're enriching that data after it's loaded. In our factory, ELT is really the blueprint for that outlines every step in the production line, right? First, you're unboxing the parts, then you're doing the paint, then you're assembling, then you polish. So it's kind of the instructions or the blueprint for how things flow. It defines exactly what needs to happen and when, and how that pipeline executes those steps. Here's some tools that really do a good job of supporting ELT. We have DBT, which is one of our modern data tools, right? It is a SQL first tool for warehouse transformations as your ELT pipeline. We have Databricks, which is a incredibly powerful Spark-based processing tool that where you could write notebooks in Python and Scala and R, and really does a good job of handling a lot of those, especially big data transformations. Finally, you have BigQuery and Snowflake. These tools are ELT friendly and integrate well because they support pushdown transformations. And pushdown transformations are a data word that we will talk about in a future video. Quick tip, ELT is scalable and flexible, but there is a trade-off. You are shifting your compute load downstream to your warehouse or your database engine. So you have to be aware of cost and maybe some performance issues and some as things start to scale. So these are things to keep in mind and be considered. But wait, there's more. Okay, so this is where a lot of people get hung up. What's the difference between a pipeline and ELT? They really sound very similar. They really sound almost identical. And the straight, simple answer is they're not at all the same thing, right? ELT, again, is the plan, it's the instructions, it's the diagram for how things are going to happen, while your pipeline is the actual thing that makes those things happen. It's the system that runs that plan, those set of instructions. So, kind of as a recap, your ELT is your blueprint that outlines the steps, while your pipeline is the conveyor system that really follows the instructions and does the actual work. You need both. One defines what should happen, while the other one actually makes it happen. Okay, your data is flowing. You have defined your ELT process. You've created your pipeline to actually do the work. Now, you have to organize what comes out on the other end, or it just becomes chaos and inaccurate insights. This is where Medallion Architecture falls in. It is a layered model for structuring your data in a clean, traceable, and trusted way. Here's the 3 layers. As the name suggests, we have 3 metallic type layers. We have our bronze layer. And the bronze layer is your raw, unfiltered data, and it's all the data that just landed, right? You have your silver. This is the data that's been cleaned, it's been filtered, it's been validated. And finally, you have your gold layer. This is your curated, business-ready model that is refined and trusted, ready to go for all of your senior leadership and your reporting. It's kind of like building a house. Your bronze layer is like when you go out to Home Depot and you're getting your lumber and your drywall and all your nails, where your silver layer is where the construction process happens, right? You're measuring, cutting, framing, sanding, building your walls, building all of your frames. Finally, you have your gold layer. This is your finished house. It is painted, cleaned, and ready for people to move in. Each layer is a progression from raw to refined, and skipping one is kind of like putting up drywall without the studs. Here are some real-world platforms that really fall into play here. Databricks is one of the top ones for Medallion Architecture. Medallion is really native to the lakehouse and this lakehouse model that Databricks uses. Databricks does a great job of connecting to storage containers like S3 and ADLS, and then it has the Delta Lake and the Delta tables to use for your silver and gold layers. You have Microsoft Fabric, which again supports that multi-layered architecture, connects directly to its ADLS storage container. It now incorporates, you could create SQL databases and create tables for your silver and your gold layers. Finally, you have Snowflake and DBT. Again, Snowflake does a great job of enabling a platform where you can really model your bronze, silver, gold layers directly in SQL. All right, let's bring it home. We have pipelines that are your conveyor system. These are your automated, reliable, and scalable systems that you use to pull your data and land it into your final location. You have ELT, which is your instruction manual, your blueprint for how things actually flow through your system that tells the pipeline what to do and how to do it. Finally, you have your Medallion architecture. That is your organization system that gives your data structure and trust as it matures. Together, they define how modern data actually flows from ingestion to insight. What is the weakest link today in your data flow? Is it your transformation? Is it your automation? Is it your logic? Let me know what happens down in the comments. And if this helped you to simplify and solidify these concepts in your mind, be sure to like and subscribe for more data words, and be sure to check out our Data Engineering 101 course. I will talk to you again next week.